Well, two big winter storms right now are impacting the country. We've got one slamming into the west coast. That's bringing a tremendous amount of rain and snow here. And this one across the east coast needs to be watched with a strong area of low pressure expected to deepen and develop right here just north of New York City on the northwest side of this. We could be looking at a heavy dump of snow across Pennsylvania. Would not shock me if somebody gets well over a foot of snow, especially up into the Poconos, into the southern mountains of New York, and even to the mountains of West Virginia. And I don't think this is it. I think there's more storms behind this one as an active pattern sets up, ending the month, heading into December. Hey guys, thanks for checking the video out today. If it's your first time, thank you first so much. Over 11,000 of you have subscribed just in this short little bit of time. We've been doing weather videos here on YouTube. So thank you guys so much. If you're new, I'm a former TV chief meteorologist doing videos here on YouTube. So if you like this kind of content, I hope you will come back. Let's look at the storm that's rolling through the east right now. You've got this cold pool of air. This right here is the driving factor for where the snow will be. Every time, it never fails. When I put these types of videos out, folks say, yeah, there's no way it's going to snow. It's just not going to be cold enough. Well, maybe not in your backyard, but I'm going to show you where it will happen. Even in Pennsylvania, parts of New York where it's too warm, as this cold pocket of air moves across, and that cold air is up at about 10 to 15,000 feet, you're going to cool down enough. And also, we're going to dynamically cool the atmosphere due to an area of low pressure developing just north of New York City. That's just the thermodynamic nature of the atmosphere. Once you get that rapid falling of pressures, you start to see that cold air start to develop on the back and northwest side of this. And also, it doesn't hurt that we have a lot of cold air aloft that's moving across West Virginia just to the south of Pennsylvania. The interesting thing about this is once the cold air aloft in the mid and upper levels moves away from places like Indiana, Michigan, Illinois, Ohio, we will actually transition over to rain before the precipitation ends. The snow could get heavy into the mountains of West Virginia, also parts of Pennsylvania, western Maryland, and into New York. We've also got another huge storm slamming into the west coast. That's bringing a tremendous amount of snow up here into the Canadian Rockies. Snow levels going up here across the west coast, pretty high too. And now we start to spread the snow even further to the north. Some of the first decent snow for parts of Alberta, over into Saskatchewan too, outside of the mountains. It's mostly been up here into the Rockies, but now we're spreading that out up into this region as we head into now Sunday and then into Monday. The storm across the east finally starts to push out, and then another storm impacts the west. I'm telling you, we're going to get storm after storm here as this upper flow just drives the storms into the west coast. There's your upper low across the east coast. That's going to spin off to the north and east. And then next week, we're watching the potential for another storm to drop in, and it could bring some snow to different areas. I'm just going to show you the idea of how that happens. The driving factor too tomorrow is also going to be the strong jet streak that's swinging through the Tennessee Valley into the northeast around our upper low here. Right here is where you're going to see low pressure develop, all of these dynamics coming together. And when that happens, you can clearly see there's a lot going on in the atmosphere, more than just what's at the surface where we live. Here's a closer look at our west coast storm. Rain and snow levels, or I should say the snow levels going up with the rain and snow intensity picking up as we head into Thursday and Friday. And then by Friday night into Saturday, snow levels dropping across the Sierra, also the Cascades. And now the snow really starting to pick up here into the northern Rockies across Idaho, Montana, and then up here into Alberta. So into Calgary, we're going to get some snow out of this, and that spreads east. And it starts to weaken as it moves out into the prairies with another strong storm, though, moving into California by the time we get into Monday and Tuesday, with more snow falling here. In fact, look at this. This is pretty wild to see. 3, maybe even 4 feet of snow into parts of the Cascades. I want to show you the latest GFS. It's trying to put out close to 8 to 15 inches of snow up here. That was the GFS from this afternoon. Some of the other models are a little bit different. Still some time to go with that, but this could be a decent snow up here into Western Canada. Now, let's focus on the east, because this storm that's pinwheeling through the Great Lakes, again, is going to bring some snow here. As that system really deepens here into the northeast, that's when you're going to see that rain change over to snow. By Friday morning, early Friday, so really Thursday night into Friday morning, that transition begins even down into the lower elevations as that cold pocket of air moves through. Rain and snow going back here across the Great Lakes states, transitioning over to some rain showers as we head into Friday. And then the snow gets really heavy here into parts of Pennsylvania, southern parts of New York. Friday morning, as low pressure develops here, snow continues here into the mountains of West Virginia and Southwest Virginia, with up to a foot of snow for places like Snowshoe, up to Elkins, into parts of southern Pennsylvania where there are winter storm warnings out. Make sure you see if you're under anything at weather.gov. And I'm telling you, the NAM model has been really aggressive as that cold pocket of air moves through, trying to drop those snow lines down almost to New York City, but not quite. But I do think we transition over to snow across parts of eastern Pennsylvania, especially once you get up towards Scranton. That's where you get up into some elevation into the Poconos, northwest of Harrisburg, where the mountains are. And then watch out here into the northern parts of New Jersey. I was talking about this yesterday. We could see some decent accumulations here as our system really gets stronger and dynamically cools. We actually would probably warm up on the backside of this to transition back over to some rain showers before things end. Here's a quick look at some of your snow totals right here along the Pennsylvania-New York border. I think this is an area that has to be watched. And also here into the very northern tip of New Jersey, over to Binghamton, maybe a foot plus. Winter storm watches are up for some of these areas. Again, to look if you're under one, head to weather.gov, and then back here into the mountains of Pennsylvania, northern mountains of West Virginia, down into western Maryland. Somebody gets over a foot, and then up into the Green and White Mountains. The Adirondacks and Catskills are going to get snow out of this. It's looking more and more likely. I just don't think it's going to be cold enough down into Boston, Hartford, New York, Long Island, down along the Jersey Shore. Way too warm for snow. But get north and west of these areas, inland, that's where the snow would likely start to pile up. And here's a bit of a closer look. I mean, it's pretty wild to see these numbers getting spit out between 10 and 15 inches of snow. I don't think we're going to get the snow into Rochester, Buffalo, maybe Watertown. Maybe we get up into elevation a little bit, but even in Syracuse, it's going to be hard to get much snow. You got to go south on 81, but once you get down here again towards Binghamton, head over towards Elmira, I think we're going to see some snow out of this. I don't think we see snow in Albany, but once you get west of here, get kind of west of Cooperstown, down towards Norwich, Binghamton, Ithaca, we're probably going to see some decent snow here with close to 8, 9, 10 inches of snow. Hop across the border into Pennsylvania. I think the snow piles up in Scranton where there are winter storm watches at the time of this recording. I think it's too warm for much snow, though, once you get down towards Allentown, although just keep an eye on this. And there's a lot of confidence for snow to really pile up here in the southern parts of Pennsylvania, 6 to 12 inches for Preston and western Tucker counties in West Virginia. You might even get 10 to 15 inches in parts of Tucker County. North of that, up toward Punxsutawney, you may be looking at 3 to 6 inches. Either way, this is going to be a decent impact across Pennsylvania down into West Virginia, especially for places like Snowshoe, Elkins, 10, 15 inches of snow, maybe even locally higher amounts, especially in the northern parts of West Virginia and western Maryland. You get down into southern West Virginia, not as much snow here, but still a good 2 to 5 inches of snow, I think, from western Greenbrier County all the way down to the mountains north and west of Asheville. I think it's going to be tough to get any snow down into Asheville proper, but up towards Boone, into the highest elevations of East Tennessee, we'll see some accumulating snow here. And that continues also across parts of Wisconsin before things change back to rain. A couple of inches possible here. We have winter weather advisories, snow maybe into Chicago. We could see a little bit. It doesn't look like a huge snow event with more snow across Indiana. A couple of inches here. Keep in mind, it's been pretty warm, so it's going to be tough to accumulate with those snow totals dropping off as you drop down toward the Ohio River from Cincinnati down to Dayton and then down in toward Huntington and Charleston. But once you leave Charleston going south, you get up into the mountains, we are going to see some accumulating snow here. Now, if you don't see the snow this time, this weather pattern is going to stay super active heading into next week. By Tuesday, another system moving through the Great Lakes. That's going to bring mostly rain to the East Coast. At least it looks like that at this point. Another strong storm moves into the west. That's going to bring snow from California east into Utah, Wyoming, even into parts of Montana. Once again, this storm has the potential to work its way across the country for Thanksgiving. This could be a big disruption for folks who are hitting the road. You'll want to pay attention as we head into next week. This could bring some snow. I think it's too early to pinpoint exactly where this storm is going, but I'm showing you this because as we head into Friday night, into Saturday, are we looking at a northeast snowstorm? Well, this is still a week away, and the energy is still way out over the Pacific, but look at the GFS. It also has the idea that we get this storm, something moving through the central part of the country by Thursday and Friday, although it looks a lot different, right, than the European, but it also has something winding up into the northeast a little bit earlier, a little bit faster. So pay attention next week. It's going to get active. This is just the beginning, folks. So I hope you'll subscribe and come back as we work our way through this wild winter. See you next time.